What's up, internet basketball junkies? In today's video, we're going to go over a document that you can use in your program, in your exit interview process with your players. This gets everyone on the same page heading into the off season. It motivates your players and it helps them understand what hard work really is. If you want a free copy of this document, it's available for free on my Selfie store. Click the link in the description. So commonly, I've come across players that share lofty goals with me, wanting to play basketball in college at a high major university, or be all conference, be all state, and those goals are fantastic. But without the work ethic and commitment, it's just very, very difficult to achieve those things. In today's world, only players that are extremely blessed with athleticism or size can play basketball at the next level without a great work ethic. And even those players that make it and are lazy, their time won't last long in college programs. For one example, I had a player share with me through the exit interview process that he wanted to go to the University of North Carolina and play college basketball on a scholarship. This player certainly had potential, but North Carolina is obviously only taking an elite few players from the country each season. And we talked about what kind of work ethic would be needed to achieve this goal. This player said he had a burning desire to get better and he really wanted to go to work. Great, fantastic. And then we got to talking about AAU. I said, if you want to play for North Carolina, you're going to need to get into an AAU program on the EYBL circuit so that you can play in front of North Carolina's coach. This is where the high major programs recruit their players. It's from high level AAU programs. And he said to me, he really didn't want to pursue that. He kind of just wanted to play local AAU ball with his friends. I told him that his actions aren't in line with his goals and that he either needed to change his goals or he needed to change his actions, because if he wanted to play for North Carolina, he probably wasn't going to be able to do that by playing local AAU competition. These are the kind of conversations we're trying to bring out with this document, making sure players understand what is required. Most young players don't know unless someone tells them. As a coach, you can't do the work for them, obviously, but you can steer them down the right path. So if they're ambitious enough to really chase a big dream, they can actually achieve it. The idea with this document is simple. There are 9 pieces to the puzzle to become a complete high school player. And if a player buys in and pursues all 9, he will have a great chance at having a great high school basketball experience and beyond. There is no rank, meaning none of the puzzle pieces are more important than another. And to me, this is just a beautiful document. It helps players with their basketball ambitions, but it's really training life skills so that they can approach a wide variety of things they'll encounter in their life when they're becoming an adult. Now let's dive in. The first puzzle piece is designated as basketball skill work. So how are you going to get your skills tight to excel at basketball? Players are becoming more and more skilled, in my opinion. You can argue a lack of fundamentals in the modern game if you want, but I think access to information inspires and models skills to create players that can do more things than ever before. The idea that players can get on YouTube to watch a coach teach a skill or get on social media to watch any of the players' highlights just leads to more inspiration and more creativity. If a player has a weak left hand, there needs to be a plan for that. If a player wants to be a leading scorer, there needs to be a plan for becoming more dynamic offensively. As their coach, we have opportunities for players to develop their skills within our program. And if they're just wanting to make the team, that's probably good enough, is just take advantage of the opportunities that our program provides. If they're wanting to be all state, if they're wanting to play college basketball, if they're wanting to play high level college basketball, they're going to need to pursue skill development outside of what our high school basketball program provides. They may need a skill trainer to take them through their development. Skill trainers are popping up everywhere. I think it's mostly a good thing. A trainer that can create a plan and see it through can have a ton of value developing skills for players. So that's the first piece of the puzzle. The next piece of the puzzle to become a complete player is strength training. And just like skill training, strength training is facilitated to a certain extent by our basketball program. For a player just looking to make the team and be a part of a high school basketball program, just lifting when our team lifts is probably good enough. But if a player is looking to be all conference, all state, play high major Division I basketball, they're going to need athletic development outside of what our program provides. In the state that I coach, Ohio, there's 3 months of the year that are dead periods where we're not allowed to work with our players. So that's a gap that would need to be covered. And also maybe there's times on top of what we would be doing within our program that a player would want to develop on their own or develop in a different way. We preach to our players and implement in our basketball lifting that the most bang for your buck strength training exercise is going to come from your barbell squat, from your barbell bench, from your deadlift, from your overhead press, and from pull-ups. Core training and flexibility also need to be a consideration for players to become the best player that they can be. These are exercises that we track and want to see growth in through the years with our players. And those are exercises that our players should look to excel in. Since we provide a lot of the opportunity to fulfill this puzzle piece of strength training, the conversation is more about the attendance and the burning desire for players to get stronger. If they really want to go play Division I basketball, they shouldn't be missing off-season workouts with their team. They should be doing all the workouts with their team, and they should be doing stuff on top of that. We also will talk to our players about specific goals and maybe, poundage that they'd want to lift or weight that they would want to come in at next season. So we start to paint a picture for them of what things look like on their development with their strength training and how they're gaining weight to help them as a basketball player. Gyms specializing in performance training are popping up everywhere nowadays, and our most dedicated players are utilizing them successfully to have year-round strength training as a focus. Next puzzle piece to become a complete high school basketball player is AAU. We try to guide players in the right direction with AAU. It may not even be necessary as a player is playing other sports during different seasons of the school year, but players with elite goals need guidance in this area. Not participating or playing at a local level may be fine for a player that just wants to make the team in high school or be a serviceable high school basketball player. But if a player has serious ambition and wants to play Division I basketball, college basketball, they need to find the right level of AAU to play at. We talk to players about programs in our area, different options that they may have that might fit their needs, programs that they might be a fit for, or programs that would be pursuing them to play on their team. We give them a list of questions to ask the AAU program to make sure that it's going to be the experience that they're looking for. Like, how many players are on the team? What is the total cost going to be? How often will they practice? How will they travel? So on. Players looking to play basketball on a college scholarship probably need to be playing AAU at the highest level that they can play at. They need to play against good competition regularly and have the potential to be seen by recruiters. We also discuss some of the dangers of AAU, like creating a false sense of promise by playing unstructured basketball against bad players and feeling like that success should translate into their high school environment. We also see far too often that players will say things like, well, on my AAU team, I'm the second scoring option, and I get to play with ball screens, and I get to handle the ball and all this and that. And that's fine, but just because you're proficient enough as a player to do that for your AAU setting, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're proficient enough to do it for our high school setting. So basically what you're trying to do with the AAU puzzle piece is offer your guidance to get players into the right setting for their goals. We have recommendations for programs in our area. We share what experience it might be like playing in those programs, or what experience players from our program in the past have had with that program, and we'll try to make connections with these programs if we can identify a great fit. All right, the next puzzle piece for becoming a complete high school basketball player is developing a routine. This is execution of a thoughtful plan with consistency over time to produce a result that we want. This fits really well with the other puzzle pieces like skill development, strength training, and shooting. It's how you tie all those things together into one goal to get results. There's a big difference between showing up to play open gym basketball against poor competition every once in a while to having a series of events that are planned and regularly followed that lead to development in the areas that you want to see your growth in. We talk with the players about what could or should go into a routine for each individual player. It doesn't have to be complicated, and what works for one player might not work for all players, but the regular implementation of things like reviewing goals, things like skill training, things like strength training, things like drinking protein shakes or doing recovery techniques, these things will add up over time and get the player closer to the results that that player wants to see. This is all about guiding the players to get specific about what they want and developing a plan to achieve it, and then getting the consistency over time to do the work over and over. If they can pick up the skill of developing routines, it will help them in basketball and it will serve them well for the rest of their life. The next puzzle piece that we're going to talk about is being goal-oriented. This puzzle piece is another piece that ties to other puzzle pieces. It ties the different puzzle pieces together. We want players to be thinking big picture about what they want out of their high school experience. We want players thinking about what is the next stage of their development. We want players thinking about what the finished product looks like as a high school basketball player. And once they have that vision, then it's time to attack it bit by bit, setting short-term and long-term goals to get them where they are envisioning they are going. We have players write things down, keeping a copy for themselves and giving another copy to us as a coaching staff so that we can check in with them and keep them accountable when it's needed. We go over SMART goals with them, talking about how their plan needs to be specific, it needs to be measured, it needs to be attainable, it needs to be realistic, and it needs to be time framed. Some of this stuff is way over the head of high school kids, but the ones who take it to heart, it can really change their lives, and not just for basketball purposes. The next puzzle piece we're going to talk about is finding a home gym. Obviously, our basketball program provides opportunities for improvement, but if players are serious about their development and carry lofty goals, they can't just rely on our basketball program to provide everything for them. So they have to have options to work on their strength and work on their skills outside of what our basketball program can provide. If players have places to go or equipment at their house, that's fantastic. A hoop in the driveway can meet the needs of a lot of basketball players. If they don't have a place to work on their skills or work on their strength, then you as a coach, I believe, need to be a resource in helping find something that can meet their needs. We talk to players about local parks that they can go to or fitness centers in the area. We've even talked to fitness centers about getting passes for all of our players to use their facilities for an entire summer or an entire dead period. Some places it makes sense for them to do something like that for the traffic, and other places it might not make sense for them, but it doesn't hurt to ask. But the bottom line is, you don't want your players feeling like their development stops when they aren't with you as their coach. You want them to have that burning desire, and if they have that, you want them to make sure that they have a place to go to work on their skills and to work on their physique. The next puzzle piece is shooting. Shooting is a skill that can be improved through time and energy, and it's such an important piece of being a high school basketball player, especially if a player isn't big or isn't athletic. This puzzle piece ties tightly to being goal-oriented in terms that they can set goals for shots attempted or to hit a certain specific percentage of shots with their shooting routines. We talk to players about examples of professional and college athletes in terms of how many shots those players take a day in the off season. This gives them great benchmarks for our players to strive for. Knowing that a recognizable pro has a routine that includes 500 makes a day is a great benchmark for motivation to understand what it takes to develop their shooting skill. The next puzzle piece is mental training. This is the puzzle piece that gets the most glossy-eyed looks when we discuss it with our basketball players. In this section, we recommend books for players to read and give a heavy pitch on attending point guard college. I can't recommend point guard college enough. We've even gone as far as to create scholarships for players to attend PGC on our program's dime, or at least defer some of the costs so that more of our players can attend. I'm in no way affiliated with PGC, but I've been to their camps and I've sent many players to their camps, and I think that they are on the cutting edge in terms of ingraining leadership habits with high school, middle school, and even younger players than that. The principles that I see taught in PGC are far and away better than any of the other stuff that I've seen in terms of trying to teach leadership as a skill. The last puzzle piece is another one that really ties a lot of the puzzle pieces together. This is tracking your results. If we don't track results, we really don't know what improvements need to be made. If we don't track results, we may not even know if we are actually improving at all. We need those critical data points to be able to validate our increase in strength or our better shooting percentages. Players are provided a notebook in our program or a journal, but we don't go back and check the notebooks, but we do encourage them to write stuff down, write the stuff down that they do, and getting the notebook in their hands, I think, is a great starting point to training them to have that habit of tracking their results of the workouts and the strength training that they do on their own. In conclusion, there are 9 puzzle pieces to becoming a complete high school player. The full puzzle creates a complete view of how a player can position themselves for the best high school basketball experience and beyond into life skills once they're far and away from playing high school basketball. If you're interested in downloading this document, it's free on my Selfie store. Click the link in the description and go grab it.